My name is Sarah Cho, and for our digital resources presentation, I chose to navigate a digital database of something called Seoul of Los Angeles. I mainly chose this digital database because of my interest in understanding cultural communities and how physical as well as online digital spaces influence each other in creating different types of identities, cultural identities, transnational identities. So when we open up the database, it looks something like this. As you can see, there are a couple of drop-down menus that shows topics, interview subjects, and you can learn a little bit more about the author through this link and the introduction of what this website or this database is about. And all of these images are clickable, so it takes you right towards what that resource actually is. So this database mainly has an interactive narrative, series of interactive narratives through those clickable photos and videos. So it's digital scholarship. It also explores the stories of places and geographies of cultural memory, most particularly Los Angeles's Koreatown. And it's created by Dr. Christy Kong. So the purpose and significance of this project would mainly be that it is a way of sharing stories and narratives of multi-ethnic identity as Los Angeles's Koreatown grew. So there's a lot of history involved as well as current overviews of what LA's Koreatown's like. It is the biggest, the largest Koreatown in the United States. I believe it's also the largest Koreatown in the Northern Hemisphere. So it has quite a significance in just sheer size of looking at it as a case study. So this database particularly tries to look into how these communities have this sense of place and cultural identity and how those two things intermingle. It also looks at local ethnic communities, but also in terms of how people may view or how their identity changes into a more transnational identity. So when we look at the website itself, we can see that there are original interviews, there are archival photographs, as well as written material. There's quite a detailed account of what those photographs are and who is in there. I would say the setting of the website is quite intuitive. As you earlier saw, that it's very clickable, and we will see it at the end of this presentation. We can search by topics. The topics include early pioneers, remapping immigrant spaces, Taegu, the 1992 Los Angeles riots, and transnational identities. We can also search by interview subjects. So the people who partook in these interviews like Angela Oh, David Hyun, and Heesuk Lee. The accessibility of the website is that it's quite open. There's no need for login, so anybody with internet access can use it. The open source tools also allows this openness of the interface design itself. It reflects the way that the community of Los Angeles's Koreatown is created by a bigger group of people, people that went through quite ups and downs of urban development and their transnational identity itself being quite uneven at times and a little bit unstable at times as well. I would say the strengths of this website is that it's useful for students or researchers who need primary sources. It also has a high level of accessibility with various medium forms like videos, photographs, and interview clips. However, the main weakness of the website is that there are quite a few coding errors. I noticed that when you click through the website, click through the different sources, there is an error, and it kind of reduces the professional appearance of the website. So that would be nice if it's corrected, and it would be easier to navigate the website. So let's take a look at the website itself. Kind of like what we saw, you can see that there's these little tabs that show what these are. As you can see, these are videos, interview videos. So if you hover over these images or these photographs, you can see what it's about. If you want to look at topics, we can also search by topics, which is nice. And as you can see, there are a lot of warning kind of compilation failed invalid stuff going on here. And this was what I was talking about, coding errors. Other than that, we can also search by interview subjects. So it's quite nice to kind of look around and see. We can also look through the specific places of Los Angeles to see how it looks like. It also has those interviews of where it was taken place and what it's about. So there's quite a lot of different ways to look around this particular database. I think this database is definitely very interactive and fun to look at. I don't think it's particularly confusing in the way it's used. However, it is a little bit different from what we're normally used to in terms of databases, because it does have a little bit more of an artistic element to it. So I do recommend this database for those who are interested in looking at ethnic enclaves or looking at the history of Korean Americans or Asian Americans. I think these topics are particularly relevant, especially with, a lot of things on the news about hate crimes and things like that. This kind of digital space, a place to share stories and kind of communicate with each other is very, very relevant.